Hello friends! So today we're going to be talking about a vocabulary lesson. So this lesson is going to focus on the point of really working with the strategy of contextual analysis and finding context clues to help identify the meaning of unknown words. So for this lesson, we are going to be looking at this book. This book is called A Voice of Her Own, and it is the story of Phillis Wheatley, the story of Phillis Wheatley, slave poet, and it is by Katherine Lasky. So this book does fit within a fifth grade curriculum, fifth grade standard, fifth grade reading level, and it would integrate very well with the social studies curriculum, of course, and yes. But with that being said, this book does contain a lot of vocabulary that even fifth grade students may not know. So let's go ahead and jump into this lesson. So this book is about a girl who was kidnapped from her home country and sold as a slave into the United States. But her life in America went a little differently than many slaves and even many Americans. She faced many life experiences, and she's become a very well-known historical figure. But this is all about her, and it's a really interesting book with a lot of historical information, but it makes it appropriate for children to understand. So, what I would do is I would read this book. It's pretty long, I will say. The pages are pretty long. But basically, when reading this book, I have some words picked out already that I recognize that the students will not know, that these are new vocabulary words. So when I get to those words, I will say, I'll be reading, and I will say, all right, students, pause and jot down this word. That way they are getting involved and participating actively while I'm reading. And yeah, so of course this could be adapted for children who may not be able to do that. And it could just be, written out already for these children. But yes. So explaining to students. So we have the vocabulary terms we're going to be working with that you have all written down. So I will have read the book, had them write down the vocabulary words that I told them to stop and jot down. But now we're going to try some different strategies, or try a strategy to identify words that we may not know. So I will show you how to do this with one of the words we wrote down, the word effigy. So I'm going to go back to where I saw the word effigy, and that was on this page. So here's a picture. Okay. Liberty, property, and no stamps. The hoarse cries from the mobs in the streets could be heard inside the Wheatley mansion. From their windows, the Wheatley family could see the unruly mob building. A dozen or more patriots carried a coffin on their shoulders, in which lay an effigy of the newly appointed stamp master of Boston. The people of Boston were seething, mad, because a new tax by England had been placed upon every newspaper, legal document, letter, announcement, even decks of cards. The mob continued on to the stamp building, which they destroyed. Okay, so the unknown word there was effigy. Now, I know that this book contains a picture holding the coffin, but we're not always going to have pictures in the coffin, or the picture in this book doesn't really show us. So what I'm going to model for students and explain to them is I'm going to go back and look. So I see that everyone here is upset. They're protesting the taxes that have been put on things. And so I'm trying to look. A dozen or more patriots carried a coffin on their shoulders. So that's a lot of people carrying a coffin. Interesting. I know that that was mentioned right before the word, so I'm really just searching for clues. I see that it says an effigy of the newly appointed stamp master. So it doesn't say they're carrying the stamp master, it says they're carrying an effigy of him. So that's making me think, effigy. Maybe it could be a picture or a doll or a statue, something representing the stamp master. So based on the context clues and what I'm thinking, I am going to write down what I think effigy is. So at this point, I would go ahead and write effigy, which, well, I already have effigy written down because of writing it down while reading the book, but now I'm going to go ahead and write what I think it is. So I'm going to write, I think effigy is a statue or doll of someone or something. Now, we can go back and clarify with a dictionary, but we really want to get students to try and search for context clues. That's one of our strategies. So now for some guided practice. So the students are going to be in groups with this. So the students will all have a copy of the book in their groups, and what they're going to do is go through and look for all of these words that they've written down and try and define them using only context clues and collaboration. So of course, the students will collaborate and communicate, but they're really going to have to search and be like detectives and be looking for context clues to help them. So that's going to be the group task, and then we're all going to share and have a discussion. And each group is going to share one of the definitions they came up with solely based on using context clues. And of course, we can go and verify that, but we just want to see how far we can get by just using contextual analysis. So thank you so much.